Hi, everybody. Welcome back to St. Vincent College. You're watching Training Camp Live presented by FedEx. A player's day off yesterday. Back to it today. First preseason game is in sight. Hi, everybody. I'm Missi Matthews alongside Max Starks. Game week. I don't know how excited we could get for it, but it is a chance to see Steelers versus somebody else instead of Steelers versus Steelers.
Yay, hitting somebody else that I don't have to go see in the dorms later or in the locker room. That's always a good time. And, you know, it is game week. I think we have to preface that this is an opportunity to really get to the next mile marker. I've been using that kind of phrasing throughout this process because they're not milestones, right? Milestones are a little bit more prestigious, more kind of indicative. This is a mile marker, right? This is on the journey. This is another stop, another point, a measuring stick for the team as we try and pare down this squad from 90 to 53 before we get to week 1 of the regular season. And this is an important one. We have some key injuries out here, so therefore new opportunities for a lot of guys to really make a name for themselves and also to say, hey, I want to be counted. You know, those guys that might be a little bit below the line, you know, when you're saying, hey, I'm the 55th best player on the team, well, we only take 53. How do you jump across that line? How do you move your name up that depth chart? And we got the initial depth charts out here that we'll be talking about later in the show, but this is an opportunity to make those moves, to make those quote-unquote splashes. And when you get to do it in stadiums, they stand a little bit louder than what they do on the practice field. So the first opportunity for a lot of these young guys, a lot of new players, to make a name for themselves.
There we see quarterback Mason Rudolph making his way down the hill. We were joking a little bit that the players don't come out earlier and earlier. It's more later and later as we get closer to that 1:55 start of practice. They've already gone through their walkthroughs and whatnot, but Coach Tomlin will speak to the media this week. Usually in that press conference is when he sets the tone of here's our game plan heading into game 1. Always light on their feet, but when you saw Mason Rudolph, do you think that's the guy we're going to see most action from?
I think we'll see most action early from. I think you don't expect to see number 8 out there.
Right.
Expect him to have a ball cap, some sunflower seeds, and an earpiece. You know, for this game.
Safe.
That is his equipment. That is his quote-unquote wear that he'll have. And I'm sure he'll have some fancy branded, you know, sideline Steelers Pro Shop apparel on for your consumption when you see it. Just make sure you go to the Pro Shop and buy it. But this will be more about Mason starting the game. And then more so, I think the bulk of it's going to go to 18. I think it's going to go to Will Howard to really get him up to snuff because we know what Mason is. Mason's a known product here. He was a draft pick here. He's won games for us here. He's brought us to the playoffs even. So he's a known commodity, but when you need somebody with those fringe starter-type, starter-capable guys, you want the sure veteran hand in there early. And then as we get into the more younger, more competitive football, that's when I expect to see 18 in there for a bulk of the game against Jacksonville.
All right, let's take a look at the offensive depth chart. As we said, the unofficial, official, Coach Tomlin has to do it. He always prefaces this is why he even makes one, because you are heading into game week. It's normal during the regular season. But any surprises on here when you take a look at this one?
So as we got to go through the first swath of it, this is all the special or skill guys, which I always kind of frown a little bit when we talk about
not your
skill.
Crowd.
Yeah, my crowd has skill too, and they're special too. But apparently we have a whole page dedicated to them after this. But when I kind of look at it, I thought it was, you know, it's pretty funny that you list Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith as co-tight end starters in the first squad, and then Darnell Washington as the second yet third tight end option. So I'm like, okay, is this indicating a lot of 13 personnel? You know, when you're listing both of these guys. And then, of course, seeing Calvin Austin listed in the initial depth chart as number 1. We know he's right now on the injury list, so I don't expect to see him. So now do you move up Robert Woods or do you move up Scotty Miller to that opposite DK Metcalf position, essentially? But I doubt I'll see DK Metcalf in this first game as well. So now we're looking at the second squad, really the guys who are going to be making the hay in the wide receiver room. And Robert Woods, Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson, surprising to be on the third team initial depth chart behind Scotty Miller. But you're looking at this and saying, proven versus unproven. Roman is unproven, and Ben Skoranek is the third. I mean, it's kind of like we have to put him somewhere, but we know he's on this team because he is a special teams ace.
Absolutely.
And he's a core 4 guy on that squad. So I look at it, and nothing really jumps out necessarily out of the warrant. Now, we'll say this. I'm sure some people are sitting there and saying, well, wait a second. When I checked this other website, it said Caleb Johnson was in the 1 spot. Why is he in the 3 spot? He's a rookie. Jaylen Warren has started games here. Kenneth Gainwell won a Super Bowl. So guess what? Until you earn your stripes, you are at the back of the bus. I famously reference Ben Roethlisberger, when he came to this training camp, was the 4th-string quarterback as a first-round draft pick. And he earned his way up there. Now, granted, some of that was injury, but you move your way up over time. It's not something that's automatically given in those moments.
All right, let's take a look at your guys, Max's guys, the offensive line, to see where they are in terms of the Steelers depth chart.
Sexy.
I'm going to say that first team, no surprises.
No surprises at all that you see Broderick there at left, Isaac sitting at the left guard position, Zach and Mason, the young tandem from a year ago. Then, of course, Troy Fautanu coming in, and he's having a really good camp thus far. I really like where Troy is. He's getting better and better and getting more confident with that knee, and he's trusting it a lot more. So it's making for very fun. He's had some really good reps against T.J. Watt, but then he's also had some struggles against Nick Herbig.
Wrong brother, it's fine.
Yeah, wrong brother, same family, all on the team at some point. But that just goes to show you the up and downs that you're going to have and the way that you have to continually get better in this process. I can block the first team, but guess what? You're not always going to see the first team guy every snap. So you got to be prepared for that change-up guy. So Troy getting a little bit cleaner with that. Broderick finally getting some real intense practice and play. And I think he's getting in a lot better place. Sunday, he had a lot of reps with the ones, which was good to see because normally it's 1 or 2, and then they sub in Dylan Cook in those moments to come and finish out the ones reps. The number 2s, that's a very interesting group because I just referenced Dylan Cook has been coming in for Roger Jones at left tackle, but yet he's listed as a right tackle on this depth chart. Calvin Anderson, another guy who's out right now, so he's not going to be available for this first game. So now are you moving up Stephen Jones because he's 3rd on the list, or are you flipping Dylan Cook and then moving up Doug Nestor? Or I think Stephen Jones has been actually running switch time with both positions. So do you put them in at 1 and then flip them halfway through to get some cross-train? Spencer Anderson, we know where he's at. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play all 5 of these. You can put his name at literally all 5 of these positions and feel fine. But at the same time, he's got to hone in on one. And I think being behind Isaac, being the guy that's been replacing Isaac when Isaac was early on the NFI list, that goes to show a good sign for him. But I feel like he could play either guards or either tackle and be just fine. He's had a couple of reps here at right tackle and a few at left as well. So it's made a very good mixture for what he can do, and hopefully he can take that jump and really state himself as a top 5, if not top 6 guy.
Goal line drill to end practice on Family Day Sunday.
Yeah.
What do you take away from that? It was Sunday. Yes, today is Tuesday. I had to think about that for a second. Sometimes you start saying what day it is and you question if what your mouth is saying is accurate.
Well, it's Groundhog Day up here.
It is.
It's like the sun's out. They're coming out at 1:55 every single day. So what do you know the difference? But, yeah, on Sunday, the goal line drill, it was a good introduction.
Okay.
That's how I preface it. As an old offensive lineman, I don't want to go back too much to the back in my days. Mm-hmm. But this was a featured thing that we would have ran instead of 7 shots at the beginning of practice. So the fact they got it at the end, guys are a little lathered up, maybe a little bit tired. There was a couple of mental breakdowns on both the offense and the defense. But it was a good introduction to short yardage and goal line. And I'm hoping today they take another jump with that today in pads, and they kind of clean up some of the mistakes that were there because there were some good plays, but guys falling off at the last second. And let's face it, the rookies on the D-line, they're making it very tough to run clean plays, which is something that as a lineman I'm upset, but as a guy that's calling and looking at it from the overhead view, I love it. I love that these young guys are getting in there. They're mixing it up. They're competitive and playing really hard football. You're starting to see more team dynamics and melding. The defense is definitely coming into form. Offense is still on the progress train, trying to get there. But I think they'll be a lot cleaner when they get to a stadium because, let's face it, going against our defense, you got Hall of Famer, Pro Bowlers, All-Pro, top 100s. It's very tough to get a very equal type of games like Roman Wilson, for example. Roman Wilson, how good or how bad he is, I will not know because he goes against Jalen Ramsey every day. So it's tough. It's like you're sitting there like, hey, go out there and you take on Jalen Ramsey. Well, if I can't catch the ball, I can't do things consistently because I'm playing against one of the top corners in the NFL. makes it tough to kind of evaluate him. So that's why I'm excited to get to this game on Saturday and really see how much they've learned from the field, because I feel like that's where you're going to really see the offense come together, and you're going to start to see players kind of separate themselves from the herd.
Sticking with the O-line, the fullback position, we saw a little change on Sunday. Mark Robinson, we normally see him in defense in yellow. He switched. He was like Superman. He had 2 different jerseys. Coach Tomlin said not to make a lot of it, but he is a guy who started as a running back in college. We know how ferocious he is when it comes to backs on backers, and any drill you put him in, you tell him to hit somebody, he's your guy. He's there.
You'll find him.
We did this experiment. It felt like 2 years ago, if I'm correct, with Kendrick Green.
Yes.
What did you make of it? Or do you agree with Coach Tomlin? This is really not a big deal. We're just throwing guys out there.
No, I think it's good to just try versatility, right? This is the place where you get to do it. You know, as many times I refer to it, this is the forge back here. This is where you get to test and create and figure out, does it work, does it not work, and you get to do it in a controlled environment. I don't want to get to game day and have surprises. And that's what this is, to eliminate surprises out here. So you get to try things you normally wouldn't do. And putting Mark Robinson, like you said, a former running back for 3 years at Ole Miss. He only played linebacker 1 year. So when you get the opportunity to use a skill set that's in there, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of it. I want to see what it looks like, because guess what? If he still has some of those running back genes still in there somewhere, he hasn't knocked them loose by knocking out other running backs in the process, I want to see what he's got in those moments. And like you said, he's a very physical, imposing dude, so why not try and see if he can run some fullback in a lot of short yardage and goal line situations?
All right, we'll stick with number 93 on defense because that's what he's wearing right now. As we're going through the depth chart, we'll take a look at the other side of the ball. We already went through offense just to see where guys are right now in terms of anything. I did think the one, I don't want to call it a surprise, but I did think Jack Sawyer or DeMarvin Leal for a rookie to get that kind of recognition, I do think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. You'd expect it to be the other way around. See DeMarvin first with Jack being a close second. But like I said, Jack Sawyer's put it out on tape out here.
Oh, yeah.
He's played very well, and especially him with Nick Herbig as that second line unit, they've done some really good things. It's not aesthetically pleasing when you watch it every time, trying to break down the technique, but it's effective. And at the end of the day, wins and losses don't care about style points. They care about, did you get the job done or did you not get the job done? And Jack Sawyer's definitely put it out on tape. DeMarvin Leal has also come up. I think he's more of a versatility piece in that because he can play that stand-up kind of big size, or what we call elephant end. So you want to see how that works with him. But, because let's face it, he started his career on the interior, and now he's kind of moved his way out to the exterior of the defensive front seven. So that was a little bit interesting, but we're going to see how that works in to what they're trying to do. DeMarvin, a little bit more liability in the passing game as far as coverage responsibilities, whereas Jack is a little bit better on his spot drops. But the rest of this looks good. I love, Cam, Keanu, and Derek Harmon. That just breeds really nice stuff. And, of course, you look at the second team, Isaiah Loudermilk has been doing his job, time after time. He's a veteran. Daniel Aquale, we brought him in here for a reason. We Red Rovered him from New England. And then Logan Lee. I love what the second-year guy is doing, because last year he was on the rise until he got injured. But he didn't do anything that would denote he wouldn't get a lot of time.
Sure.
Because he is a tested dude in this league, and he's been in this situation at training camp. Y.A. Black is another guy I think is going to be pushing Daniel Aquale. Now, mind you, thing of note, Logan Lee, Y.A. Black, teammates at Iowa. They look really good when they're together on the field. They both know each other's tendencies. They know how to play off of each other. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see those two kind of mixing it up a lot on Saturday as a unit to go along with Loudermilk. And I feel like Kyler Baugh, the guy we brought in during camp, has really made a name for himself as well. Very physical at the point. He's not too tall. He's like 6'1.5", and he gets some great interior push. So I like the quote-unquote conundrum you have at D-line, because you can only keep, I think, 6 of them, and maybe you stash another one on practice squad. But I like what this is going, and I expect that number 78 in the third team to kind of move his way up somehow and be in that second team rotation one way or another. Looking at the rest of it, I think interior linebacker, we kind of knew what it was. Veteran.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
That's
good
a
problems
good problem.
to have. It's a good problem to have. You don't see any rooks there. You could argue about Devin Harper being the least experienced of the group, but still a very solid crew there indeed. And then, of course, we saw the nickels down there at the bottom. And secondary, I don't think we've talked about secondary a lot. I mean, we got plethora of great defensive backs at every single position. So that's probably the number one, I think, battle where it's going to be interesting. You're going to cut 2 starters that will start for somewhere else from that secondary, trying to pare down to the 53-man roster.
I do think it'll be interesting, though, in terms of the secondary heading into this first game due to just the injuries that we've been seeing. Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice, Dante Kent, some of those guys that may or may not have gotten a lot of reps. As you said, no Jalen Ramsey, guys like that. But I still think that, for Corey Trice, we saw what he could do in Denver last year. When healthy, great things happen. So I do think we'll have to wait through the rest of the week just to see that practice participation, but for some reason it feels like that position group has kind of been hit a little bit, which will be interesting to see who can make it and who can't, because again, you want, as Coach said, when the lights go on, the stadium tape, it means just a little bit more than what you're able to do here in Latrobe.
No, it absolutely does. So, I look at that first team, and I mean, who wouldn't be happy with that if you line that up on September 7th against the New York Jets?
Sign me up.
I'm like, yes, double yes, triple yes, and I don't even know how we got him, but thank God we did at the nickel position. And the fact that you have him listed at nickel, he can play any of these positions in the first unit. That's how good he is. And then I look at the second group. Corey Trice obviously slowed with injury right now, not available. So now you say Cam McCutcheon, James Pierre, and Brandon Eccles are kind of your guy that will be with that second unit group. And then I'm really interested to see Sebastian Castro behind Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark, what he does as a rookie, because came in highly touted.
Oh, yes.
And a guy who's made a lot of plays, so I want to see how he does. Quindell Johnson, another one. I expect to see more of Miles Killebrew to start it out. And then, of course, Johnson and Castro really to get the lion's share after that, because Killebrew, hey, we got a Pro Bowler.
Special teams
ace, captain, everything you want to call him. Just attach the superlatives to him. He's that guy, so you don't worry about him. You just look at, okay, slide to the second team. Okay, cool. But what are you going to do to block a punt, bud? What are you going to do to block that kick? That's what I care about, because that's where he thrives in this. And, of course, James Pierre still hanging around.
Yep.
Still hanging around here. I mean, James Pierre also another guy really good at special teams, really stepped in when we were looking for a gunner on punt and cover team, really made a name for himself. Dante Kent, you have him listed third there. Would have loved to have seen what he could have done, but he's hampered by injury. He was the guy that was supposed to be the main punt returner in this game. But now with him and Calvin Austin out, who's going to emerge as that kind of punt returner, which we'll talk about that depth chart when we get there, but not available. So like you said, injuries being really the key driver of this depth chart right now, because it looks good, but when we get to game day, it's going to look a lot different what's deployed on the field.
Right. You figure today's Tuesday, they practice Wednesday, Thursday, travel day Friday. So it's kind of crunch time in terms of looking at a game week. It feels like Saturday is forever as we sit here today, but in terms of what they need to do to get their bodies ready and whatnot. But you mentioned Miles Killebrew, special teams ace, as we said. And following practice on Sunday, Mike Pursuta had a chance to catch up with him for our camp convo presented by UPMC Health Plan. Let's take a listen.
Welcome to another Camp Convo brought to you by the UPMC Health Plan. Our guest today, Miles Killebrew. And Miles,
how's it going?
Pretty spirited ending to practice, first live goal line drill.
That's right.
I'm looking at my chart. They got it in once, and they had to throw to do it.
That's right. Throw it up to Big 80. I mean, he's like a human cheat code out there. You line him up and run a fade ball to him. I think it's a hell of a play. I hope we get to see a lot of that this year.
Is there a way to stop that on the receiving end, or do you almost have to sack the guy to prevent that from happening?
No, I mean, we try to be physical at the catch point. Obviously, when it's good on good, you try to be as physical as you can with the right spirit of the fact that we're playing against teammates. But we got to rely on a perfect balance of rush and coverage to get anything done on defense.
Your goal line defense spotless against the run.
Yep.
Just kind of clue me in on the process, how it's going, how far along you guys are, and what the expectations are.
Well, that's a point of emphasis that Coach Tomlin has for our defense in general. When we get down there, he does not want anyone to be able to run it in on us. It's a matter of pride for our defense. And so we take it on us from the interior all the way out to the corner. We want to make sure that teams aren't running the ball in. And then from there, we have to play lockdown defense.
Saw some of the young guys in there, maybe getting a taste of it. Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, Jack Sawyer. Talk a little bit about the progress, if you can, of your draft choices.
Oh, it's fun to see those guys in there getting after it. They're hungry, and they have some good vets to learn from. I love what I saw, just, from my humble perspective. I think the defense is coming together well, and I'm really excited to see how we mesh together as a unit.
Last thing for you, Miles. We had the officials in visiting the last couple days. They got us up to speed on the new procedures.
Yep.
Is the kickoff change a really big deal, or just something you guys will adjust to because you have to?
We always adjust. That's something that we take pride in, being, this special teams unit in particular. We adjust on the fly, and we just try to bring a level of professionalism that can't be matched by our opponents. And so that's something we're going to do. I think we always have the advantage just because we approach it with the right spirit. And so I'm excited to see how we go out there and do it.
I lied about the last question thing. Could you guys really block multiple kicks again this year?
We can do anything we want to do. But it comes down to practice. It comes down to doing all these little routine things every single day. I think if we do the little things right, the big moments will come. And if anyone is capable of having multiple blocks this year, it's this unit. I love the heart. I love the resolve. And Coach Danny Smith always puts us in the right spot.
Miles, thanks for the time. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it.
As if you couldn't like Miles Killebrew enough, just the things that he says, that pregnant pause before, really cementing what this special teams unit is all about. And it does start with Danny Smith, as he said, but just the different things that they practice. I'm laughing as Miles is dancing here, probably not knowing he's on camera, but sometimes he's setting up some of his own little drills with different pads and whatever to get better. And that is something that he takes to heart and takes very seriously, as does everybody when it comes to that and listening to Danny Smith.
Absolutely. And once again, sometimes you got to dance like nobody's looking. You got to have those moments because, listen, if anybody has a reason to dance, it's Miles Killebrew. Been to multiple Pro Bowls as a special teams ace, one of the captains on this squad when it comes to that special teams unit, and he takes his job very seriously. Mm-hmm. And, that can either be a West Point thing or just a built-in thing.
Or both.
Or both. But whatever it is, he's always willing. He's always there, always attentive, very thoughtful in everything that he does, and especially what he says. And, he didn't come out and he didn't become braggadocious like, we could do it again. When's the last time we haven't done it? He didn't say any of that. He was just like, hey, we can do whatever we want as long as we practice. And I think that's the type of attitude you have to have. That's the type of mentality that you have to go into. So I have no doubt when I think of Miles Killebrew, I think of James Pierre, I think of Ben Skoranek. Mm-hmm. That's where you're talking about the core four special teams guys. That's punt return, punt coverage. That's kickoff return and kick coverage. You want to have those known dogs that are going to go out there and hunt as soon as the ball's snapped.
And every time we talk about Ben Skoranek, I can't not think about Arthur Smith saying he has a little dirtbag in him.
Yes.
And just the griminess that he brings to that game as well. And as we say probably every year, a lot of times guys get one of those final roster spots when it comes to building the 53 because what they're able to do on special teams. You have to be a willing participant.
No, you have to be a willing participant, and as Coach Tomlin always says, I don't want hostages, I want volunteers.
Yeah.
That's a pure volunteer sign-up type of job where it's like, hey, I want to get in the game. I need a helmet on game day. What am I going to do to differentiate myself? Maybe I can't crack the top 3 wide receiver crew. Maybe I can't crack the top 4 in the secondary. But you know what I can do? I can give a whole heck of a lot of effort, and I can go run and chase guys on the field when it's time to go in those special moments. And that's something I think that always differentiates. You'll always have a place in this league if you're willing to go attack and do the dirty work that nobody else necessarily wants to do. And that's why, hey, listen, I appreciate the garbage men in our country, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody has to do the job and somebody has to take out the trash. That's what you're getting with those special teams guys.
Had to turn around and try to see what was happening when you hear fans cheer that loudly for something.
This early.
Right. I didn't know if maybe we were going back to potentially throwing the football in the garbage can because that really picked up on Friday Night Lights.
That really got a lot of traction. I did not expect that to be a attention-grabbing moment, but, for the mob, you do anything to create a spectacle, and trash get ball definitely did it.
Well, I think we were so used to back in the day seeing Ben Roethlisberger, Charlie they just did it for fun.
Yeah, did it for fun. The goalpost one?
Marquise Pouncey.
Yeah.
I watched him clear this field after about 30 seconds because Coach Tomlin said he couldn't do it, and practice was canceled.
Yeah.
Everyone
exactly.
cheered for that. Players.
Yeah, players did. Fans didn't. Fans wanted to keep going.
Right.
But that's the fun. You have to have fun here, right? It's tough. It's mentally exhausting. It's a mental stressor. Like you said, when you look at that depth chart, I think of pressure, right? It only goes two ways. Those who feel it and those who apply it. So if you're feeling it, it gets you a little bit tighter, little bit more on edge. And when you are the one that is placing said pressure or applying that pressure, it's like, that doesn't bother me. Water off a duck's back when it comes to it. And you're talking about this group right here, this interior line, trying to make a name for themselves. A lot of good players down there vying for opportunities. And if you're a young guy or you're a guy that's inexperienced or you're new to this team, you're going to have to do something special when it comes Saturday. You have to pop off the screen. You're going to have to pop off the tape. Big plays are aplenty. And, there's a lot of open spots in that second layer that's going to be up for grabs. Nothing is guaranteed. And Carl Dunbar says, listen, I need 6 dogs. I don't want – and if you're a puppy, I need you to bite. Because if you bite as a pup, you're going to bite as a dog. So we need to see who has that bite. And I think that's what's going to be really interesting as we kind of look through that group. There's a lot of veteran talent, also a lot of young talent. And when that mixes together, you could have some very good things happen.
Yeah, and we've seen it over the years. Alex Highsmith, somebody who was injured on Sunday in practice, not really seeing him out here amongst this group as we're turning around to scan the field as well. But Nick Herbig, you saw what he was able to do when Alex and TJ put him under their wing and said, learn from us. And I think, as you said, you mentioned Jack Sawyer earlier, somebody who was also embracing that and really taking that to heart to try to prove that he belongs at this next level. We saw what he could do in a championship game. So it's good to see those different things.
No, it absolutely is. And I think that's what you kind of take solace in, is that, hey, these young pups, they don't know what they don't know. And that could be a good or a bad thing in a lot of instances. But right now it's turned out to be a very good thing thus far. And we're trying to see, well, what's that next jump? I know you can do it out here in the practice field. You can do it when there's some fans present, but what happens once the lights get bright? What happens once the opportunity is now in front of you? Can you grasp it, or will it slip through your fingers? And that's what a game-like situation. That's why I think, people trying to do away with the preseason, and say, oh, what's the utility? Starters aren't playing anyways. It's not about the starters.
Right.
We know who the starters are. Like, I don't need to see Aaron Rodgers throw 30 passes against Jacksonville. But what I do want to see is Will Howard throw at least 20. Mm-hmm. I want to see Caleb Johnson see if he can hit the hole with this offensive line, or whoever's in front of him. Can he hit the hole 15, 16 times in a row? And can he make people pay? Who's going to be that number 2 receiver? I want to see what, a Roman Wilson can actually do in a stadium, since I haven't really got a chance to see it. I want to see what a Brandon Johnson can do in a stadium. I know what Scotty Miller can do.
Right.
I know what Ben Skoranek can do. We definitely know what DK can do. But that's the difference in these moments, and that's why you need them, because I need to see if you can or can't do it. Because if you can't do it, why am I wasting my time? But if you can do it, yes, sir, may I have another? You know what I'm saying? Let's keep this going, and let's continue to create opportunities, because we're going to need you at the most inopportune time is going to be your opportune time.
We just saw TJ Watt there. He had a Vets Day on Sunday. I'm cool with him in a bucket hat, long sleeve shirt. I feel like that's usually his go-to preseason look, right?
Even if he wants ice, give that man ice. Listen, it's hot out here. Florida, South Florida is going to, in North Florida, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot down there. So if he needs ice, give him some ice.
Bring some fans.
Neck fan. I'd like to see him with a neck fan. That would be a good one, because obviously he can go stand by the really big fans on the sidelines that we often creep to during game day.
Sure do. You're past that life, Max.
I'm more recently.
I hope the press box and the radio booth are sweltering.
Well, once again, Missi, I will be thinking about you as you take on a television career for the next couple of weeks,
where people can see that I'm sweating.
Yeah, they can actually visually feel the misery, and then we will rejoin again and become the broadcast duo for radio as the regular season approaches. But yeah, I will miss you. I'm going to have to come down on the field every pregame, just because.
Just because.
It's comfortable. It's comfortable. It's the place that I know. It was our home. We took solace when there was no cover.
Yep.
And we got through some of the coldest games imaginable, like thinking about that Raiders game for Franco's 50th.
Ooh.
where I literally, after I left the stadium, I drew a hot bath in the hotel room, stuck my feet in, and it took 20 minutes before I could feel my feet again.
Yep.
That I will not miss, and that I will be praying for you. Make sure you have plenty of toe warmers.
Yes, of course. If not, you know how to find them for me, so
Yes,
we'll be
exactly.
good. I'll just get them pregame.
Exactly. And I'll still make sure that somebody gets you the Uncrustables.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I will have a hookup for that for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just special, because special teams needs love too.
Yes, they
gotta
are
give,
people too.
Yeah, Chris Boz and all of them, their props. We've talked a lot about Danny Smith. No surprise, Chris Boswell, I think his spot's pretty safe. I think we're good to go there. But the punter was another one of those situations in terms of the depth chart where it was Corliss Waitman or Cameron Johnston. Cam obviously suffering that devastating injury week 1 after being, the belle of free agency, as Coach Tomlin called him, in terms of bringing him here to Pittsburgh. But Corliss came in and did an admirable job stepping in, not being the guy until week 2.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you look at, and it's going to be fun to see it. Like, Cam has the potential, has shown that he's done it, but health has been an issue, so you've always got to have a guy in waiting. And Corliss Waitman, like you said, came in week 2, assumed the job for the rest of the season, and was number 12 in net yardage for punts. That's a huge number considering the punt coverage unit on average was 24th, back third, and the fact that his net was in the top half. That's a huge number, and talk about doing a job cold off the bench, not being the number 1 or the quote unquote toast of free agency. To come in and do that job, I think it's very respectable that you put them both in there and let them duel it out for the position, because one has the history and the resume. The other one actually did it for you just a season ago. So let everything play out the way it's supposed to.
In terms of the returners, Cordero Patterson is no longer here. We know Mike Prasuta was talking to Miles Killebrew about the kickoff changes. That 5 yards could make a difference in terms of what are teams going to do, because last year we made a big deal about it. We thought it was going to be something, and it kind of was static.
Maybe quelled.
Yeah.
The fervor was quelled.
I knew you would have a better word to describe it. But also, as you were mentioning, in terms of punt returns, injuries there, what do you anticipate seeing on Saturday in Jacksonville in terms of trying guys out and doing different things to give them a chance to audition for positions?
Well, I think, we'll look to running back first for the kick returns, right? Because I think that's more of a now running back kind of emphasized skill set, I think is the best way of putting it, right? Putting a ball in a guy's hand and let him kind of weave through the traffic and the blockers. That's what a running back does on every play offensively when he's handed the football. Punt return, that's another interesting one. Obviously, Scotty Miller is the known guy there. I think he just took a punt just now. That he's doing it because Calvin Austin is obviously shelved right now. So Scotty Miller is the number 2, but I don't expect to see him that much in the kick return game because I think he'll have enhanced offensive responsibilities.
Right.
So who's next? Because Danny didn't list a third on the depth chart. And Dante Kent, another guy that was supposed to be kind of that next up, that was supposed to get a bulk of these catches, is on the shelf as well. He has a lower body injury, so he's not available. So who's next? I mean, we see Caleb Johnson catching punts. We saw Trey Sermon catching punts. So I wonder who, and then the wide receiver room, right? Can a guy like a Brandon Johnson come up? Can Roman Wilson be a guy who can catch some punts as well? That's going to be the question about who's going to get that, because there's an opening there. There's an audition slot. Who's going to fill the audition slot and make you think twice about who do I have catching punts, depending on what their roles are within the other aspects of the team. So I'm really excited to see how that fleshes itself out on Saturday, because that's really our only unknown. Out of all these positions, that's the unknown is punt returner. And we have, 2 good guys on the list, but two of those guys aren't available. So who's going to be the third in those moments?
Well, somebody we know that their roster spot is safe is number 90, TJ Watt, and we had a chance to hear from him prior to practice today, so let's take a listen to that interview.
How enthusiastic are you to do that out here in camp?
Well, I mean, we've been doing it. It's not something that we're doing every single day. I think we're picking days to kind of work on it. I'd rather work on one side for that day just to get more reps at it as opposed to going over there for a rep here or there. Something that we're going to continue to do.
What are the
challenges, or what are the differences when you're flipping sides?
I mean, I've talked about this a bunch. I think it's just something that's not as comfortable, but working on getting it to be more comfortable.
You've been on a lot of defenses and gone through this process several years here at training camp. Is this the best defense you've been a part of so far?
It's too early to tell. Everybody looks good this time of year until we get into a stadium with another team, until we allow the offense to continue to make more adjustments, to attack us differently, allow us to make more adjustments, to see how many guys are willing to tackle. All of those things are still yet to be determined.
Will there be a point in practice where you do flip from side to side within the same practice to simulate like you might do in a game?
Oh, very likely. I mean, don't rule that out.
TJ, how's Jack assimilating himself into the room?
Oh, he's a big guy, a guy that has been a sponge. He's asking all the right questions. I see continual improvement from him. He's been a great rookie so far, and I think he has a very high ceiling.
Where have you seen Nick Herbig kind of make some jumps? I know he trained with you a little bit in the offseason, was under your wing all last year. Just where have you seen him grow so far?
He's so hungry. He really is. He's a very hungry individual, asking the right questions still to this day, and just constantly working, whether it's pre-practice with nobody out there, post-practice, just working new moves. He's not afraid to fail, but he doesn't fail much. It's been fun to watch him grow.
TJ, you told us that Mike Tomlin gives him a lot of grief about his run stop. How much have you seen that improve over his time here?
Yeah, he's done a great job. I think that's the biggest key to being an outside linebacker here is you want to be a well-rounded player. And not only for yourself, but for the whole team. And you want to be reliable. And I think he's working his way towards that. And as a smaller body guy, he's put on some weight. He's trained with me in the offseason. He's stronger than ever. And it's been fun to see him attack the run like he has.
We've talked to guys like Patrick and Peyton at the inside linebacker spot. They said they're excited because they're blitzing a lot more, and they're coming with you in the blitz. What does that do for you as an edge rusher to have other linebackers going from different spots also, occasionally rushing?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, Peyton's playing fast, PQ's playing fast, both of them second year in the system. Anytime you get those huggers coming as quickly as they are, it allows us to have those one-on-one pass rush opportunities, or it even allows for a potential miss-up where one of us is running free. So the quicker those guys play, the better it is for everybody.
TJ, you said you wanted to age like Cam, or at least use him as an example. As you get older, how much of a focus is the power for your game when you're going to be, at the end of this contract 34, and the explosiveness might not be the same as it is right now?
I mean, I like to think the explosiveness is always going to be there. Obviously, realistically, I don't know if that's the case. I mean, it still is right now. But it's just constantly finding new ways to win, evolving with the game. Like Coach T says, adapt or die. But at the end of the day, if you have a fastball that works, keep throwing the fastball.
Along the lines of Chris's question about the linebacker splits, it also seems like you're bringing a lot of nickel pressures. What's the benefit when you have a nickel like Jalen Ramsey, rushing off the edge along with you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you never know where Jalen's going to be. You never know what he's going to do. And the better that we disguise, the better that everybody eats. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to get better in our disguise in the back end, helping them up front as well.
Dunbar's helped with, obviously, Jared Allen, Cam Hayward. What kind of things has he done to help you try to prolong your career the way that some of those guys have and did?
I think taking care of us, making sure that even if we want to practice, making us take days off, and just being smart. I think more than anything, when you play for Carl Dunbar and Denzel Martin, you want to turn on the film and see physical football players using their hands, turning their hips, making sure those things are ready so that when it's game time, we don't have to warm up to it.
How do you balance not practicing all the time, knowing that you will be doing some different things this year in the rush? I mean, is it tough to not go out there and want to practice it all the time and just get as familiar as you can with it?
Yeah, I think it's a push and pull. I mean, in 2021, I didn't practice with the team at all and felt really good going into the season. As the years go on, I don't practice as much, but I still feel good, and it's just a matter of getting that individual work, working on the right side, running hoops and doing things, sometimes almost as a benefit as opposed to wasting that rep in live action.
DJ, do you adjust, and if so, how much, getting ready for season as you get older?
I think it's just being more and more comfortable with the system, not feeling like I have to be ready right now. Even though I feel great, it's just a slow ramp up, a slow build to the season. I don't have to have my best days right now. I can continue to try new things and have fun with it. Me and Herb and Alex are trying this new pass rush move we've been working on all off season, and it hasn't been working out really well. So I think we're probably to the point of the off season, or like the start of the season, where you ditch that move and you get back to what you're doing. Stuff like that is fun this time of year.
TJ, how much do you pay attention to sack totals as a defense? You guys were kind of middle of the road last year. Do you think about wanting to be top 5, wanting to be top 10, and what's the ceiling for this group?
Yeah, I mean, my first couple years we were always at the top. I think we can definitely be better, but at the end of the day, I think splash is always on our mind. We talk about splash each and every week, whether that's sacks, TFLs, tip passes, picks, anything that we can do to affect the offense and deliver the ball in good field position for our offense is something we're always talking about.
TJ, I apologize, I might have missed the card in the background, but when you're going up against Fowtown and Cal, you're seeing him develop and come along, as he's healthy, as he's described it, a redshirt season under his belt. How's he doing when you're facing him?
Yeah, I think he's getting better each and every day. I think he's a very physical, a very quick tackle. Very athletic, he can recover really well. I think he's just getting his confidence under him, trying to give him a myriad of things where I can bull rush him to get his confidence in that knee, and then also just trying to work some things. It's fun to go up against a young guy like that who's really athletic.
There have been a lot of talk that he was on a really good track prior to his injury last year. Have you seen him manage to get back to that, if not beyond, now that he's been healthy?
Yeah, I think he's doing some really good things this camp, and it's only going to get better the more and more reps that he gets.
When it comes to the cornerbacks, it seems like you guys have, you got Ramsey with Slay, with Joey, you guys are going to be able to run a lot more press man. What does that kind of stuff on the back end help you guys do as pass rushers?
Yeah, man, rush and coverage goes together, and we've said that from day one. Anytime that they can give us just an extra half a second or a tenth of a second is going to be huge for us, and anytime that we can affect the quarterbacks can be huge for them as well, so we work together.
There you have it. TJ Watt from earlier today. Prior to practice, the Steelers back in pads after a day off. Practice again on Wednesday, Thursday, travel to Jacksonville, and we will go under the lights for some primetime action. And then it's a little weird. There's the day off on Sunday, of course, following the game. Then 2 more days here in Latrobe, and that's it, which is just so weird. They are going to do some joint practices with Tampa Bay because they're coming to Pittsburgh next week, but the bulk, the middle of training camp felt forever. And now when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, it's almost over. It's kind of crazy.
Went by really quickly. Now, granted, we did miss 2 padded practices in the process.
True.
So that also kind of lends it to being a little bit shorter than expected when you think about it. But, like you said, time served. Time served up here is always key. And anytime you get to get away and really get to bond, and no bigger benefactor than that, than the guy who was just on the screen, number 8, Aaron Rodgers, talked about how important it was, how great this environment is, and, experiencing his first Friday night lights. I'm sure he has not done a Friday night practice at a high school stadium in 2 decades. So to get to do that, and you see him there, he's working out with all defensive linemen. I mean, talk about getting in the mix of it. Like, it doesn't get any further removed than a quarterback that's warming up with defensive linemen.
Usually the guys you run away from.
Yeah, usually the guys you want away from are the guys that you're like, hey, we're going to follow you in all these drills in a good way, instead of following you because you have the football.
But that has how he has been. Even Beanie Bishop talking about, one day he just sat down and had lunch with me, and it was cool. We talked about my 2 interceptions, just mentioning
I wonder
that.
if he gets those autographed.
He already did.
Oh, he did. Perfect.
Pat McAfee helped him. Yep,
okay.
That West Virginia connection.
Of course, WVU has to help. Helping Mountaineers.
Yeah, but, he would have got it anyways if he had to wait. Kind of worked out. But
exactly.
Nope, they sent them. Look, Danny Smith.
A quarterback talking to the special teams coach. Come on, how often does that happen? It doesn't, ladies and gentlemen.
But everybody loves Danny Smith.
He's the most lovable guy out there.
He is.
And listen, I already told him, anytime I have to ask him a question and he kind of is on the fence, I'm like, listen, Danny, I will offer you 20 sticks of bubble gum if you can go ahead and give me this answer. But not that I have to get to that, so I still give it to him anyways. But, it's always good. But, he's always there. I've had special teams questions. I can just walk in Benedict if I catch him in crossing, and we can have a conversation about stuff just so I have better, clear understanding. He loves explaining ball. He loves talking special teams and the nuances of it, and you get why he's an excellent coach. One of the top coaches in the league at special teams is because he is adamant. He is all on top of it. There's no formation from any random game I can tell him that he does not know.
Right. Oh, he is a tape junkie. I don't know if he still does this, but he used to always bring in tons of McDonald's on Friday mornings. Anybody could take it, players, coaches, staff, because he liked to get that morning started even earlier than probably the other ones. Just continue to watch film, make it something a little special, and as you said, just has been around forever, knows so many different things. And even when Pat McAfee was here, was joking, everybody talks about when I've gotten you. What about when you've ruined my Thanksgiving dinner and different things? We've been on the different side of things, but good to see that, everybody.
Man.
Everybody loves Danny Smith.
I mean, even as we're talking, he's talking to the great in Chicago Bull, B.J. Armstrong right there.
Yes.
Who's now a new assistant coach with the Sacramento Kings after a long, illustrious career, as an agent and everything else. But he's out there talking with the great Danny Smith, and there you see GM as well for the Kings down there talking. Doug Christie, I think, is somewhere wandering around. He's very tall. You might confuse him with the old tight end because he's that tall and lengthy. He has a good build. But, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that Coach Tomlin brings out, right? Other coaches want to come and glean some of the culture and some of the organizational just management of a team. And, yeah, the Sacramento Kings, hire brass up here, spending a couple of days just walking around, learning, sitting in meetings, asking questions. I mean, we had a long conversation with them when they first got here, Ike Taylor and I, just sitting over at the benches and just talking. And we were just talking ball and talking about player composition, player scouting, and what you're looking for. So a really beautiful thing. Last year we had Jason Kidd up here.
Oh, yeah.
He was up here with Nico, and they were watching practice. So the Mavericks, I think I saw the Marshall coaches are here too right now in between camp. I think they had an off day, so they came up here. So people want to see. 19 years, one organization is not by accident.
Yeah, you're doing something right.
It's not an easy thing. And so when you have an opportunity, especially a new staff that you're putting together, why wouldn't I? If I have access to come watch a great work the room and work the player, coach relationship and how you have to balance that line, there's no better person to come see than Mike Tomlin because he's dealt with it. And, it's really cool when you get to have those opportunities. And that's one of the other special things you get to see up here at training camp that you don't get to see at a lot of other places.
No doubt. One of your former teammates. Not that former Steelers alumni aren't, out of the norm seeing
celebrated
up here,
yeah.
But Ryan Clark is here with the rest of his crew for the Pivot podcast.
Crew. Hey, he's surrounded by good men. They're all Gators.
That's true. That's true.
Channing Crowder was one of my teammates at Florida. I remember when he came in as a young freshman, and I played 2 years with Channing. And, of course, Fred T., he was everybody's Gator legend. I mean, who didn't love Fred T. in the mid-'90s?
Yes.
Then I began to kind of regret that statement because when we had to play Jacksonville, that was always a tough out with him with his one-step cut.
That's right.
But it's great to see those guys up here. And, we were in the TJ sound bite, so I had the headset off. Max, what's up? Go over and get to talk to the boys for a little bit. So, yeah, it brings everybody out here, and that's a beautiful thing. This is an inclusive environment. It's not exclusive like a lot of other teams. Veteran players, alumni players are always welcome back here. In fact, my old O-line coach, Larry Zerline.
Love it.
Z is down there walking the fields, and he's hanging out with everybody. I mean, Z was my coach for 3 years, and we won Super Bowl 43 with Coach Zerline. So for him to be back, his grandson's working as an intern.
There's Ryan. We're just gonna give him a little love on camera.
Look at that. Look at RC.
He's not mad about it.
I mean, he's wearing black and golden, more like burnt gold.
He has good shoes on, though. I did compliment him on his shoes.
Yeah, no, the Jays. He has a low Jordan 1s with the black and yellow colorway. Yeah. Actually, I think both of us actually have that same pair of shoes. We've worn on the sidelines before.
Just saying.
Good choice by him.
Game, respect, game.
Yeah, got to recognize it. And I think, for him coming out here, you try and be as unbiased. I think that's why I wore the golden shirt versus a yellow shirt. But his Pivot podcast is what? It's black, gold, and white.
That's right.
Just saying. He has Steeler colors on it, so we don't need him to necessarily see it. Them embracing our Legends coordinator,
Mike Marchinsky, creator of Renegade.
That's right. He is the man. So, he's worked with Ryan and all of us, all the like, for a long time. So good to see him, seeing some of the old faces around here now. But this is a fun time at camp.
I love Ryan said, of course we had to sit down with Coach. We always do. And I always think back to the one that they did with Coach in his basement. And just the nuggets that you got from that. I have worked with Coach Tomlin forever. And there were just things I was like, wow, just the things and the way that he thinks. You always learn something from him. We all say sometimes the best stuff you hear from him is when he's not on camera, has a microphone in his face, because he is just that real. In terms of how he treats people and the things that he shares. As you said, there's a reason why people are coming up here, other coaches and other professional teams, to gain knowledge. But always interested to hear what he says in a comfortable environment with Ryan Clark and some other guys that he knows well. And also Ryan said they're going to get Jalen Ramsey, which he's one of those guys I still want to pick more of his brain. We have heard from him. He doesn't do a ton of media just yet, but I'm sure that one will, give us glean into what happened, what made the trade work for him. Why did he want to come here? What is he going to do? What does he want the rest of his career to look like? Because I think Jalen Ramsey, as you said, you never know where he's going to be. TJ Watt even said it in that scrum, which he said sometimes is jarring for us, but it's good for us too as a defensive unit. What will we see from him this season? I think it's going to be exciting.
No, it's going to be very exciting indeed. And I think, having a guy of his pedigree, he can line up on the edge and he can blitz off of them.
Right.
But he can also go take your number one receiver and lock him down an entire game. I was talking with, Coach Terry Rubisky's up here as well, which – first assistant coach ever going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, just
big
a wealth of knowledge between. And you know what he said? He said, listen, if you want to know who Jalen Ramsey is, just go back and watch. And it was Antonio Brown, but he said, the guy who lost his mind and took his clothes off and left the field. I was like, yeah, AB. He's like, what did Jalen do against AB? Oh, that's right. As great as AB was, one catch, a whole game. So when you wonder what Jalen Ramsey's resume is, just think about that. He locked down Antonio Brown in the height of Antonio Brown's career. So why would you not expect anything less from a guy of his caliber when he comes out here to give that all in the same respect?
Absolutely. All right, Max, thanks so much. Day one of the week heading into the preseason game, I guess we'll call it. 2 more practices to go, but that's going to do it for Training Camp Live presented by FedEx. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay tuned to Steelers.com and the Steelers official mobile app post-practice for a report and interview. We'll see everybody here tomorrow.